What up, Eagles Nation, Eagles Galaxy, Eagles fan base? We deep into the off season, but it's always a lot to talk about in regards to, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. So today, just gonna hop in with conversation. First thing we're gonna discuss, of course, is going to be just a couple pieces of breaking news, things about the team. Then we'll hop into a little information about the top 10 centers all time. And then from there, we'll slide into that replay, or excuse me, review Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll get up out of here for the night. It's a lot going on in the world of sports, WNBA, Major League Baseball, those good things. So we appreciate you guys that took the time out to hang out with us for a little bit, and even those of you who get a chance to catch us on replay. So with that being said, bring my co-host in for the evening, and we're gonna get things started. Eagles Diva, what up?
What's going on, Eagles Nation? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let's get it.
Always, always. So in the realm of breaking news, we normally have Wyatt normally handles that, but of course, Wyatt wasn't able to be on tonight. Things happen, life happens. So we're gonna be taking up the reins of that. And one of the things we did have passing in the Eagles family. So former assistant coach Bill McGovern passed away. He spent 3 seasons as our outside linebackers coach, and he passed away. So definitely want to give my condolences. Well, actually, our condolences to his family. Um, and definitely, it's something that difficult for the Eagles family, players, coaches, and everything as well, especially those who played with him and those who coached with him. But a lot of the guys that are former coaches of the team still stay connected to the organization even when they move on or retire, leave the team. So I know this is a big loss for the Eagles as a whole. Also another story on a former Eagle, a little bit more positive spin. So LaShawn McCoy, um, who is our all-time leading rusher, is basically going to his hometown, and he is creating affordable housing for people.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yep. So that's something that's very good. And of course, he's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But the project will be called the JMB Gardens. It's a rental community with 2 and 3 story duplex townhomes. Um, it has spaces for like computer labs, kitchens, management offices, all those things. It can be for YMC community programming. There's a lot of different things about it. You could definitely research it, or we may talk about it in detail in the future. But it's good to go back and give back to your community, especially after you retired. Still showing some love to everyone in your area. So that's very exciting, and I'm glad to see that that's something that he's becoming a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Helping his community, showing that Eagles players and fans were not all the scumbags other teams try to make us out to be. And another piece. Oh, did you want to add anything on that, Eagles Diva?
Mm-mm. Just good things that he's doing for Philadelphia.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So we do know that we have spring workouts with the team.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of pieces that have been brought in that kind of have to gel through the draft, through free agency, replace a lot of pieces that we lost, guys we had on 1 year deals. So got some of those guys back, some of those guys left, but it's just a year of meshing. So a couple of things that came out of it. The coaches staff right now is busy installing the X's and O's, and what that basically means is Brian Johnson, our offensive coordinator, who was the quarterback's coach, so someone within the organization that did get moved up, is busy kind of taking the offense that we had, and hopefully because he's an in-staff hire, He's keeping some of those pieces that we had, but improving upon things. And he's on the staff again. Work closely with Jalen Hurts. So I'm sure that there's still some of that there with him being elevated to just try and get the right system in place for the talent that we do have, as well as fix some of those weaknesses, hopefully, that we saw within the offense last year, because there were things that we could have did better, plays we could have ran better, execution it could have been better, and personnel was a big thing. Like in the Super Bowl, you don't throw a ball to Kenneth Gainwell on 3rd and 7. You just don't do that. You don't do that. So in the flat with no blocking. So things like that, just be able to clean up some of those things. Um, we expect it to be a smooth change on that side. And then Alex Tanney, who was on the staff last year, is going to be the QB coach now. So he's going to backfill Brian Johnson's position with another guy that was already on the staff, already familiar with the quarterback. So that's a good thing. But on the other side of the ball, we have Sean Desai, who's going to be our new defensive coordinator. So he's installing basically a new system for him because, he's a new coach. He's not a guy that was on the team last year. So he's a new coach. And we got a comment here. Want to shout out Philly. What's going on, Philly? Thank you for tuning in as always. Big ups. So yeah, on the other side of the ball, a little more tricky. Installing a new system based on terminology that he's used before, schemes, plans, and things that he wants to do. So on the defensive side of the ball, there's been a lot of training, a lot of teaching, and conditioning with the different terminology. According to players, Josh Sweat being one of them, it's been a very great experience. Sweat's been there for Schwartz and Gannon, so this is his third coordinator. And he likes what he's seen so far. With the coaching staff and everything, the bottom line for that to me, and Eagles, you can chime in as well, is keeping everything as consistent as possible. We lost a lot of quality players. We also lost both of our coordinators and some of the position coaches. We have a new look staff, so how quickly is the staff as well as the new players going to be able to gel together and get things done? I think because there's a lot of people coming from the outside, as far like I said, especially on the defensive side of the ball with the new system installed, it's going to help because they don't have that context of previously being on the team.
Right.
Yeah. So you have any thoughts on that?
I just think that it's going to be better all the way around because you have a whole new defensive scheme, a whole new coordinator, and I think that he will be able to put all the talent that we have and the talent that we have added together, be able to put them in positions to win, because we know that Gannon didn't put the players in positions to win, and that I think that he will call plays based off the talent because he's going to know and understand the talent of players that he has on his defense. So you will be able to see players be able to make certain plays and be able to live up to their ability of who they are as a player. As far as the offense goes, I think we'll see a lot more. I don't think we'll see Jalen running as much. I hope not. In some of those slant passes that they were calling, short plays, short passes, I hope a lot of that is gone. But I think we'll see a different offense, and I think it will, in my opinion, I think it'll be better.
Yeah, I think the big thing about it will be building upon. So I think a lot of things are going to stay the same for the offense, but they'll build upon it. And that's going to be good because another one of the big things that they've been talking about is continuity. It's critical and it's going to be welcome for the offense, right? Because you got 9 starters back. The only line position that's right there pretty much is right guard. And that's going to be either Cam Jurgens, Sua Opeta, Jack Driscoll, Josh Seals, or Tyler Steen are all going to be competing for that job. So it's going to be whoever comes out of that as, the best guy they feel like to man that position this season. We do have a number 2 quarterback in Marcus Mariota that is the same type of quarterback as um, Jalen Hurts. And what I mean by that is he's a guy that, he has the ability to run the ball. He can throw, but he also is a runner. So you can still run a RPO with him. One of the big things that we had last year, say something happens and Hurts needs to sit out a game, or you just want to pull him out because the game's kind of out of control, or we're pretty being more confident. You now have a guy who can run the same offense. So you can plug him in and you can do everything the same. You don't have to do things differently or try to plug a guy in that doesn't fit. Basically, trying to put a square peg in a circle hole, which is what we did last year. So that's going to be a big upgrade, I think. Just as far as if needed, he's a guy that can come in and run the same system. Scout team can see the same system. If you're a guy that's playing second team, you're now going to be able to move up and play on the first team, even if you're like a wide receiver, tight end, whoever, because you're going to be seeing the same type of quarterback. You're going to be being coached the same way by both of the quarterbacks, as far as the coaching staff coaching on how to, receive the ball from them, how to block, spacing. Everything's going to be pretty similar. So that's going to be, I think, a big help for the offense overall. And then I hope I'm saying this right, Olamide Zaccheaus, who Devontae Smith said is very explosive after he catches the ball, is going to be joining the wide receiver crew. And like I think that that's going to be the guy that's going to be our number 3, unless we do something like go out and get what's going to be a name? He hasn't even got cut yet, so we're not even going to talk about that because he was cut, then he's not cut, so we're not even going to talk about him. DeAndre Hopkins even possibly coming until he's actually cut or traded. We don't even know if he's really going to get cut now or traded. What's happening? But like a guy like that may come in and supplant him. But I think Zaccheaus has the inside route to being at number 3, at least going into camp, unless Quez Watkins goes out and does something that he hasn't done in the past, and that's assert himself and take that job. He's pretty much been handed that job the last 2 years. So Dad's got to go fight for it, and I think that that's going to make us better as well.
Right.
I think we have the makings of a top offense this season. We have a lot back. We added talent. We didn't even talk. I didn't even talk about, but quickly I'll just mention DeAndre Swift, as well as Rashad Penny. These are 2 guys that are going to do wonders for our running game. They're both guys that have shown the ability to be injured, but guess what? That's why you have 2 other guys as well as these guys, and hopefully they're not hurt at the same time.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty much how I feel about them. What are any other thoughts you have on the offense for this coming season so far? Of course, everything can change by training camp or by the time we play our first preseason game.
Just basically what I said earlier. I mean, I expect to see a lot better, a more efficient offense ran than what it was last year.
True. You got a lot of new faces that are going to have to come together on defense. Mm-hmm. 2 new starters at safety, 2 new starters at linebacker, at least 1 new defensive tackle. But like I said, with this, I think the side coming in, he's installing everything anyway. So it's going to be very helpful. OTAs started yesterday. Mm-hmm. They'll go through June 8th. A couple of days off, but essentially yesterday, today, and then they'll pick back up on the 1st, the 2nd, then the 5th, 6th, and the 8th. These are like practices that they have. For those of you who don't know, the organized team activities is what they're called. And basically what that is an opportunity for players to get together under the NFL rules for both sides of the ball, start to go through play, start to install things, see where it be. It's not contact, but it's, going through non-contact drills, going through understanding like the new system installation, what changes you're going to make from last year, those type of things. But these are going to be critical, especially for the defense, because again, a completely new system being installed on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, agreed. But I think it'll be better though.
Yeah,
I'm ready to see.
I don't think it could be much worse. At least personally, because everybody knows how I felt about our old defensive coordinator, who I no longer want to name.
Definitely can't be worse than Gannon. Just can't be. There's just no way.
True. All right. Another thing about this draft, it was so defensive and line, and then like offensive line focus and that type of thing. Like a lot of these rookies may contribute right away. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, they played on the national championship team. 2 years ago. They should be able to contribute. Sidney Brown started at Illinois. Um, Steam, he played at Alabama as well. With the opening right guard, he may win the job outright. Um, our 2022 rookie class, man, I feel like they didn't get as much opportunity as they could. Jordan Davis, I feel like should have played more. Jurgens, I feel like should have seen some action on the field as well as N'Kobe Dean. But they're ready this year, so those are guys that should be able to step in at least give us, at least depth pieces. Hopefully, some guys that can start when needed and called upon, and at least be very good rotational players.
Well, I've heard that Jalen Carter's already been, like Kelsey said, he's doing wonderful.
Oh yeah,
Um, not
no
really
doubt
worried.
about that.
And Nolan, like I seen the training, he was in training today, and like boy was moving. So yeah, definitely. And then
And
I
the
heard
thing,
that Jordan Davis has picked up his game a lot too. So I think with him being able to start, um, and I think maybe they just felt like maybe he wasn't there physically at first, and maybe his foot movement was a little bit slow. But I think that since he's had that time to heal from the injury and just having this good off season, like a full off season, I think that we'll definitely see what we've been wanting to see from Jordan Davis.
and then also I think from reports I've read, he's dropped a little weight.
Wait, yeah,
So that's going to help him with mobility. Still a big mammoth man, don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
just to drop a little bit of weight to be able to carry it better, be able to move a little bit better, working on the techniques with his hands and feet, those type of things. So I think with those things happening, man, that's going to be great as well. I feel like the last year's rookie class, like I was saying before, the other guys were playing so well. It was kind of
hmm
like we don't really need too much from you. But I think again, another criticism I have of Jonathan Gannon, you have to find a way to work in guys that you know your team's going to need in the future. Another reason why I'm glad he's gone. You did not do enough to say, okay, we know we may have to backfill some of these positions this year, so let's get these guys some reps. You've got to do a better job of getting guys reps. We had some games that, um, you know, were blowouts pretty early, opportunities for you to get other guys in and let them see what they can do. And we just didn't take advantage of that last year. And I hope that's something that Decide does not carry on.
right. And it was only handled if somebody got hurt, and then they came
Hmm.
in.
Right. Like Blankenship never would have got an opportunity if CJGJ didn't get hurt. We would have not known what we had.
N'Kobe Dean either.
Yeah, I don't think he got enough of a shot even after he showed what he could do. But, at
No.
least he did get that opportunity. But again, like we were saying, due to injury. Now, two other big things I want to talk about real quick. So then we can get to the top 10 and then we'll talk about the Jazz game. Jalen Hurts is the undisputed man in the locker room, right? He's got the money. He did it in a way where it helps the team, but he's the voice. He's the guy that everybody's listening to. He's the guy that, you know, he's the leader. He's the
He's LeBron of the
unquestioned
team.
leader.
He's the LeBron of the team. I want y'all to know that. He's the LB of the Eagles.
So I don't have as much of an affection as Eagles defense does for LeBron. So I'm just gonna say that he's the big dog of the team.
Well, I don't
Um,
either, but that's these kids' generation.
yeah, I feel
I'm
you.
like a
I feel you. I just don't have much of
kids.
a
King
affinity
LeBron.
for him, for King LeBron, or some people like to call him they King. Um, Great player, but um, I feel like Hurts is more like a Charles Barkley, a Shaq, a Kobe, right? Some of those guys that um, are more focused and more we're gonna be great versus I'm gonna be great, and if y'all come along, that's fine. If not, I still do what I'm supposed to do. But I feel where you're coming from and using the analogy
Right.
uh, for people because he does have a lot of people who are lovers of him, no matter what he does.
Yeah.
But there's interesting points about that too, though. Jalen Hurts did have a really good year last year, MVP caliber year. He didn't win the MVP. I'm fine with not winning it, but there's still room for improvement. There's the fumble in the Super Bowl, some issues with maybe not securing the ball as well as he could all the time, maybe picking situations to run in less and focusing more on just kind of doing what needs to be done to make everything move. Also feel like with Jalen Hurts, just laying the ball better, more pocket awareness, just being consistent like he was last year. It's going to be important. A much tougher schedule because, admittedly, we did have less difficult schedule last year because of the divisions that we were playing. So there are going to be some games that are going to be a lot more difficult this year, but it's just about winning. I don't care if we win by 1 point. I don't care if we win by 50 points. I understand we're not going to go 17-0, and hopefully everybody else does as well. But this is going to be a time for us to feel comfortable, hopefully, that we don't have Carson Wentz 2.0. And I don't think we do because there's so many differences and not a lot of similarities. But it's always that you did it one year, everybody sees what you want to do now. How are you evolving as a quarterback so that you can stay above the line for what everybody expects from you and still be that great guy that we need? So hopefully he's going to be that. Hopefully he's going to be even better this year. Hopefully he's going to be the MVP, not because the individual award matters, but because he's that good this year. And he'll only turn 25 on August 7th. I want to add that in as well.
Yeah, so he's still young, and we good. What's up, Sam?
Yes, sir. What's up, Sam? Sam is our guy from Shady Sports, who is our partner that we are also being streamed on. So shout out to Sam and the Shady Sports Network. For sure, for sure. But yeah, Jalen's just, it's a lot that's going to be on him this year.
Yeah, a lot, and he's really got to be protected this year too. Like protected because we know everybody coming.
Well, a big part of that is going to be him, though, because the line's there, but it's him. If he's going to run, they're going to hit him, right? Unless he's smart and, hey, we need 5 yards. It's first down. It's second down. We need 6 yards. I can get about 4 and get out of bounds before I get hit or slide. He's going to have to do that. They're going to be after him. That's for sure. So he's got to understand that, and he's got to play that position more in the pocket. Dual threat, absolutely, but only at the times where it's favorable. I don't like a lot of call runs for Jalen. I like more. We call a play, but it's an RPO. If he sees the opening, then go. But if you don't, go with the pass or the run to the running back. So I just want to see, a lot of that from him. And then the last thing, kind of talking about where we're at right now, is the mentality seems to not have changed. Lost in the Super Bowl. It is what it is. Just want everybody to be healthy. And we want to be one of those teams that don't say, oh, we almost did it last year. Woe is us. We didn't make it. No, we don't want to be that team. We want to be the team that says we still 0-0 just like everybody else. It doesn't matter what we did last year. It doesn't matter what people say we are or are not going to do, because those people that are saying those things are not in that Philadelphia Eagles locker room. And truly, at the end of the day, the people in the locker room matter.
Yeah.
The coaches, the players, the people in that locker room, because those are the ones that get together, go out there and play and make things happen. We still live by the mantra, 1% better every day. That's what it is. That's what it needs to continue to be. As long as you're working on being 1% better every day, we should be back where we were at last year and have an opportunity to do what we could not quite do last year.
A little Rod.
And we got Rod, and of course Rod has the Patriots 27-14. So the only thing I'm gonna say to Rod is he must be living in the bizarro world where bad teams are good and good teams are bad, because you don't even have a quarterback, but you think you're gonna win 27-14.
Well, I think Rod's still living in Tom Brady days.
He may be, but Tom Brady's retired, Rod. You're gonna be retiring him once we spank you. In that game, you'll be retiring him. So he's not even in the league anymore. So I don't know how you think that y'all are going to beat the Eagles 27-14 when you don't even have a quarterback. But hey, I guess it's part of Patriots fandom, and you just can't acknowledge that the referees are not going to cheat for you every play anymore, and not going to change the rules every year for your quarterback. Now you have guys that are just trash juice.
Well, you just have to recognize that y'all reign is over. You had it, you cheated for it, and it's done with. So it is what it is.
You cheated us. We got our revenge. It's all good. Things happen.
Y'all do different lines when they was bad.
Yeah. This dude, 27-14.
We're gonna run the ball down y'all throats. Woohoo! Who y'all running back?
Who you gonna run at? That's what the bigger question is, who are you gonna run at? You gonna run at Jordan Davis? You gonna run at Fletcher Cox? Like, who are you running the ball at? And what amazing line do you have, because your best linemen are gone? So who's blocking for these running backs that are going to do all this work that you're talking about? Right, I'm going to quote Tupac. I'm just going to edit it real quick for you, bro. You live in fantasies, homie. We reject your deposits. And we're going to leave it at that, because everything you're saying is unrealistic.
Never realistic.
It's fantasy living. There are teams who could possibly, because of the dual threats that they have, and they have quarterbacks who we have to kind of sit back off of and anticipate him attacking down the field, where you may have an opportunity to run. But that trace you got in the quarterback position, get ready for a long season. Hey, but the good news is you may be able to replace him when you have a top 5 pick next year. Fletcher is washed. Hey, man, your team is washed. Your coach is washed. Your coordinators are washed. Your owner is washed. Well, he's washed by sex trafficked women, but that's another story. They're all washed. That's what we're going to go with that. But we're not going to give Ryan any more time here on the Eagles show. No. But Ryan, I want to remind you of something early. I'm going to tell you this a couple of times throughout the season. But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah. And you're not the cream. You're the milk fat that's going to fall to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's what you are. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry to tell you that. As many years as y'all cheated, y'all deserve it.
Say that again.
As many years they cheated, they deserve everything they get, and some more.
And more.
So yeah, back to the Eagles. Pretty much, man. It's their mentality. It's on them to do what they need to do. Right? It's not a lot that's going to be coming from other organizations, other teams. We've got a difficult schedule. We broke that down slightly, but we're going to go into detail on that later on. But it's just winnable games. That's what it is. That's what it's going to be. Winnable games.
Mindset and play calling is what it's going to be about.
That's very true. That's very, very, very true. But Rob, I do want to shout you out for joining us, even with that Patriots nonsense. You still watching, so shout out. So for those of you who play fantasy football and such, according to Rod, AJ Brown, 80 receiving yards. The thing is, AJ Brown, 80 receiving yards can still be 3 touchdowns. That can still be 150 for Devontae Smith, another 100 or so for Olamide Zaccheaus, another 100 or so for Dallas Goedert. So, I mean, AJ Brown 80 yards is not really. All that means is everybody else is getting off, and he ain't even really got to worry about it too much.
Right.
You may want. I'll give you this little piece of information for free. You're welcome for it, by the way, Rod. You may want AJ to have a bigger game because it means everyone else is not getting involved.
Right.
I'll take 80 from AJ against y'all. I'll definitely take that. Maybe run the ball down your throat, like you think you're going to be able to do. All the other offensive weapons that we have are getting involved, and you're losing by more because you don't know who to stop.
We got to get through that D line first to run the ball.
So it says, I'm sleeping on your defense. Let me give you a visual of how I feel about your defense.
Night.
That's how I feel about your defense.
Night.
I'm sleeping on them, and they're going to be going to sleep when they're getting ran over by one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the NFL. You're sleeping on the Eagles, and you're going to wake up, and I'm going to continue sleeping like I took a whole bottle of NyQuil. So we'll go ahead and move over here, guys, to our top 10 centers in Eagles history. So we're going to do it a little different tonight. We're going to throw out some names, right? And we're going to talk about if we feel like they're the best, they're the, whatever, or not. We're not going to necessarily rank them 1 to 10. We're just going to talk about them and then kind of, move from that scenario. Because when we looked at this, right? Because people normally do offensive linemen, so you go through all the positions. So we wanted to split out center just so we could talk about some of these guys, quickly, but let's give a little info on what they are, when they played, that type of thing. So, Eagles Diva, we're going to start with one of the guys that played back in the day. Um, that would be Jamal Jackson.
I remember Jamal.
Yeah, he played with the Eagles from 2006 to 2011. Um, what I can say about him is he played the position hard. He took over from another guy we'll talk about here, Hank Fraley, who also did a very good job as a center for the Eagles. So I don't think we would consider Jamal Jackson the best center in Eagles history, but where would you rank Jamal Jackson among the Eagles centers?
I'd say about 6.
I put him probably in the bottom 5, right outside of the top 5. So yeah, I would be fine with 6. I'd even be fine if you put him a little higher, but a 6 would definitely work. Now we'll talk about the guy we talked about before. So Hank Fraley played for us up until 2005. He was the guy who was the guy that was there before. Excuse me. He was the guy that was there before Jamal Jackson was. Played for us, very serviceable guy, very strong at the position. Did a lot of positive things for us at that position. And was very important in those years in the early 2000s where we had some teams that, won a lot, did a lot. He was one of the guys that were centers for most of that time frame. So a lot of positive things that he did for the Eagles. So, Diva, where would you rank him all the time?
I'll rank him number 5.
Okay. So this one's going to be an interesting one. A lot of people may not have realized this. So, Chuck Bednarik played linebacker. We talked about him as linebacker, but he also played center when he played. So if you've already seen the Chuck Bednarik episode, which you probably have, you know that all the things he accomplished as a player. But he also played center for us as well and was pretty doggone good at it, I would say so myself. He's a guy that, had already done the research on for linebacker, so did a little research on him as the center as well. And very impressive. It was hard, I say, to make the Pro Bowl, do those type of things back in that day. But he did do it, and then playing 2 positions in that time frame, that was normal. So it's not as impressive as some other guys did it who didn't play multiple positions. But I think it was really good. And I think he was a really good player. So definitely, I would probably rank him, I'd say in the top 5, maybe higher than 5, but I definitely would rank him in the top 5. All right. And then
4?
Maybe even 3.
3?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then, of course, we got some other guys to go over. David Alexander. He was our center from 1987 to 1994. He never made a Pro Bowl or never got named as an All-Pro when he played for the Eagles. But he was a guy that was very consistent, helped our team out a lot, and allowed us to be as good as we could be during that time frame. And he had some good players that he played with. He blocked for some of our better quarterbacks. Just, honestly, as a center, different positions, if you're not a flashy guy, if you're not a guy that just dominates, it's hard to get some of those awards. But this was a guy who was our center for 8 seasons. You're center for 8 seasons in Philadelphia. You've done some things right. So, where would you rank him in your top 10?
I would probably put him at number 7.
That sounds about right. I could rock with that. I think that sounds about right. Um, so then we have Jim Ringo. So Ringo was also a coach, but he was a center. He played 15 years, 10 Pro Bowl selections, made it to the Hall of Fame in 1981. Um, for Jim Ringo, I'm going to put him number 2 because I feel like playing 15 years, and we're talking about back in the day when he played, I think that says a lot of longevity, a lot of had to play a lot of times hurt. Game was a lot more physical, a lot more rough, a lot more just uh, gladiator style back in those days. So I'm gonna definitely put Jim Ringo as my number 2. Where would you put Jim Ringo?
Yeah, I'll put him at number 2. That sounds about right.
I'm trying to jump around because we know who's number 1. We definitely know that. So Alex Wojciechowski, he was a center, played from 1935 to 1950.
Ooh,
Also a two-way player. Yeah, old school. Also a two-way player. He played linebacker on defense. Um, Tough, gritty guy. I said there's two tough positions to play. So the fact that he played both of those says a lot. He received an award um, called the Order of the Leather Helmet, which I did a little research into. It's for individuals who made significant contributions to the game of professional football. And this was back, he got this a long time ago, clearly. So, a lot of good things happened while he was on the team. He played with the Eagles from 1946 to 1950. From 38 to 46, he was with the Lions. Um, so with the Eagles, he was a two-time NFL champion. So, says a lot. Being champions kind of, puts you a little bit higher on the list for me.
Mhm.
He made the 1940s All-Decade team. Um, he was in the Eagles Hall of Fame, Eagles 7th anniversary team. So a lot of different things happened for him while he was playing. He was both ways. So, like I said, that always impresses me a lot.
Yeah, he
So,
played 2 positions. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, where would you rank him?
Um, I would probably put him about number 4 for me.
I actually am ranking him at 4 as well myself.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, we're gonna go ahead and talk about this guy. A couple more people we'll talk about as well, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about this guy, Jason Kelsey,
The
sixth
one.
round draft pick, 2011. We don't need to talk about his many um, accomplishments. Let's just say he's gotten it done since he's been in the league. Um, he's a Super Bowl champion, of course. 5-time first team All Pro 2017 to 2019, as well as 2021 and 2022. 6-time Pro Bowler in 2014, 2016, 2019 through 2022 as well. Um, he's a guy that's he came in and started from day one. Uh, he's been like the holding force. He plays center completely different from a lot of people. He's cerebral, aggressive, strong. He's aware that he has more years behind him than in front of him. But he's a firecracker too. I love the everything he did after we won the Super Bowl. Hopefully we get another one while he's still with the organization.
Hmm.
But I love everything about this guy, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there, and I'm sure you would agree. He's my number 1.
Yeah, he's definitely number one, and possibly could be the last one to play in number 62 ever for the Eagles.
He's definitely the greatest. I think if anybody else has that number, it should be because he's okay with them having that number
Right.
because he's that guy.
Yeah.
So another guy that we'll quickly talk about here is Guy Morris. He was another guy that also played for the Eagles. He's a coach as well. And things are freezing on him, so give me a second here, guys. I love when that happens. So he was a Philadelphia Eagles center from 1973 to 1983. He left us and went to the cheatingest team in the history of the NFL.
Yes, that's Rod's team, right?
Oh, yeah, that would be Rod's team. But while he was with the Eagles, we selected him in the second round in 1973. He was not a center coming into school. He was a guard. He played at TCU. We transitioned him to center. He started 151 out of 158 games, and in 1984, we waived him, and then he went and signed with the Patriots. He's more known as a coach, I think, than a player, but he was a solid guy for us. And I think, sometimes we're looking at guys and we're saying, oh, if they didn't do this, if they didn't do that, then we're slightly discounting their work. But I think this is a man who did what he needed to for us, and he did something for us to have him for 10 seasons. So where would you rank him?
I would say I would put him probably at number 7.
I think I'm gonna put him at 8. So we have a guy here. I'm just going to say he's at 10 for me, just because he didn't play for us a long time. Raleigh McKenzie. A lot of people like him more, but I think when you're judging him for the purpose of our show, we're only judging him based on when he played for us. So he played for us for 2 seasons, 1995, 1996. Right. So I think when I'm judging him, I'm saying, all right, he did a lot of great things. He won some championships with the Redskins. He's known mainly as a Redskin because every other team he played for, just like 2 years. He played for the Redskins from 85 to 94. Like I said, 95, 96. Then he went to the Chargers, 97, 98. Then the Packers, 99, 2000. So he played for several different teams. But he was solid for the 2 years. Actually, he was more than solid. He was a really good player for the 2 years that he played for us. He did what you needed to, what you would expect someone to do coming in. He solidified the position. He gave us a guy that we knew we could depend on for the years that he was here. And he was nicknamed Rollo as well. So one of those lower signings for me. I'm going to drop him in the 10th just because he didn't have a lot of years with us, and somebody got to go to 10 anyway.
Right, yeah.
And I think we're at 8 now, so I think we got 2 more here based on what I have. And one is going to be David Alexander.
Yeah, I remember him.
So he's a guy. He played center and guard, but he played mostly center for the Eagles. He played with us from 1987 to 1994. He left there, played for the Jets a couple of years from 95 and 96, but he's mainly known as the Eagles center. Very solid, but not a guy that I look at and say, oh, he was amazing, he was great, he was just outstanding. But definitely a solid player and a guy who, when he played, he did what needed to be done. He made sure that things moved the way they needed to move for the organization. He was there for the quarterbacks that he had. And like I said, some versatility because he could move over and play guard as well if needed. So I'm going to drop him myself at 9, right above the other guy.
Yeah, I had him at 8. Not put him at 8.
All right, and we're going to give Rod his thing because you know what we do. We give everybody his comments an opportunity, even if they're whatever. Our secondary led the league in picks last year. That's great. We went to the Super Bowl last year, and guess what? You leading the league in picks last year doesn't matter, as well as that we went to the Super Bowl and lost doesn't matter anymore.
Thank you for that stat, but
Yeah.
it was irrelevant because we had a lot of picks as well. So our picks were amazing. So we wasn't even worried about what y'all had going on. But anyway.
Yeah, because if you didn't make the playoffs and do that type of thing, we didn't really care about what you were doing.
No.
But luckily, you get to play us the first week of the season. So, Rod, just like your Lakers, when it happens, just remember, I warned you. So, Travis, what's up? So, Travis checks in.
Travis?
He says, Patriots without Brady is like the Browns.
Yeah.
For those of you who have seen, who like watch comedy specials and stuff, I'm gonna throw this out there. The Patriots without Tom Brady is like Hal Melvin without the Blue Notes. You never go platinum.
Mm-mm.
So that's that kind of situation. But hey, man, if you want to live in a world where you believe in your team in the preseason, man, before games are played, who are we, right? Who do we have the nerve to think we are? To
take that dream away from you.
Yeah.
Dream on, buddy. Dream on.
Yeah.
Because
once the season starts, we already know what it's gonna be. So you might as well go ahead and enjoy it right now because that's fair. You need some.
Let's just make sure we see you every game next season.
Oh, that's not gonna happen. All right. And the last one we're gonna talk about here, I believe this is 10, if I counted correctly. Vic Lindskog. Vic played with the Eagles from 1944 to 1951. And then he went on to coach the Eagles as well as the Rams. He was a first team All-Pro in 1951 and another 2-time champion in 48 and 49. I'm going to give him, I think the spot I have left is 6, I believe, on my list. So I'll slide him in there. Big thing is championships, right? If you're a guy that won championships, it gets you a little bit higher on the list because not everybody's done that. Now, he was another versatile guy. Of course, back in the day, you were versatile. So he played different positions on the line, but mainly center. So definitely want to shout out these guys that play center. A lot of good research I was able to do when looking at the centers and learning about these guys. Some of them I knew about, of course, but some of them, especially the guys back in the day, I wanted to kind of slide some of those in. Because, hey, I mean, it was a great time back in the day when the Eagles were winning. That mattered too.
You know, and back then, that was like real football. You hear me?
Yeah. We talk a lot about now, but you got to remember that there was a time in the past as well, and we were pretty good at that time. I do say so myself. Had some championships back then too. A lot of people don't want to count them because they want to talk trash, but I don't care what they think. In the immortal words of Rick James, you know what to do to their couch.
Right.
All right, so we'll slide over here. Let's get this graphic updated with a little change. It's time to review the game from last week. Well, not last week, but week 4.
Last season.
Oh, last season, yeah, not last week, last season.
That time coming back. It's almost.
Yeah, we're gonna be getting close to it. Yeah, we definitely gonna be getting close to it. So week 4, we played the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, it didn't change, did it? Mm-hmm. There we go. Week 4, Jags season review. So week 4, we played the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I want to shout out the Jacksonville Jaguars first by saying this is a team that even when we played them, nobody thought a lot about them. We both said, as well as our other co-hosts at the time, that this team was going to be really good because they had Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson kind of wore out his welcome in Philly with some of the antics that he had going on. But as a coach, he did really well.
And Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Let's just not. He was able to transition from college to NFL pretty well.
Yeah, he did what a lot of people didn't think a lot of guys are going to be able to do. When he transitioned, and you got to think, like we talk about, is Trevor Lawrence's first year. Trevor Lawrence's first year in the league. Who did he have as a coach? A dude that should not have been coaching Pee Wee football the way he was acting and stuff he was
At
doing.
all.
Yeah, so that kind of stunted his growth a little bit. I feel like he still did pretty solid in this situation, but against us, he went 11 of 23, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Their rushing leaders both had 8 carries, which were Travis Etienne, who had 32 yards, and James Robinson, who had 29 yards. Lawrence had 2 carries for 7. Kirk had a carry for 3. So they didn't get a lot of going on the ground. Receiving, either they didn't really get a lot going on. Kirk had 2 for 60. Jamal Agnew, like a nobody that we didn't really know about before then, had 4 for 50, but 2 touchdowns. Dan Arnold had 1 for 26. Jermichael Hasty, 2 for 22. We held Elby Ingram to 1 for 16. And this Chris Manhurts had 1 for no yards. Defensively, they did have 1 pick, and that was Andrew Cisco. That was a play that Jalen Hurts definitely would want back if he could get it back.
But they did have 4 fumbles on their end as well.
They did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pick that Hurts threw, I'm sure he would want that back if he could get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So, any thoughts on the Jaguars' performance in that in our game?
I mean, it was a good performance because I mean, at one time we couldn't score, and Travis Etienne was like running a few plays, like really running, because I think he had 11 long yards. So that was kind of making us a little nervous up there a little bit. But I mean, they played good in that game. That was a close game. It was 21-29.
Yeah,
Besides
but this is a game that they scored 14 points on us in the first quarter. We scored none.
None.
In the second, that's when we had the second was our death quarter. We scored 20 in the second, and then we had to score 9 in the fourth. They scored 7 in the fourth as well to get the win.
And I think what messed them up, honestly, was those 4 fumbles.
Yeah. And just to go over the stats here, they did allow 4 sacks as well. And then they did lose 4 fumbles. We both had an interception. We did control the time of possession as well. So definitely some good things we did. But Diva, go ahead and give us those Eagle stats.
Jalen was 16 for 25 with 204 yards, 1 interception, as you said. Miles Sanders had a really good game. That game, we had more running yards. Miles had 27 carries, 134 yards, 35 long. Jalen Hurts had 16 carries, and he was the second most carrying in that game with 38 yards. Gainwell had 5 carries for 19. Trey Sermon actually played that game. Y'all remember?
Trey Sermon sighting. When does that happen?
That's how rare he is. I don't even remember him being in there, but he was two carries for 19 yards, 14 long. And I forgot to mention that Miles Sanders also had 2 touchdowns, and Jalen Hurts had a run-in touchdown, and Gainwell had a touchdown. So all 3 running backs had a touchdown. AJ Brown had 5 carries, 95 yards, 7 targets. Dallas Goedert, 5 records, 72 yards. Miles Sanders had a long touch where he got 2 records for 22 yards. Devontae had 3 touches for 17. Pascal had none. Quez did absolutely nothing in that game. I can't remember if he was hurt, but he did absolutely nothing. And Gainwell had 1 for negative 2 yards. The defense, TJ Edwards had 6 total, 1 sack. Sweat had none. Hassan had 2. Um, so yeah, altogether the defense total sacks was 31. No, 4. And
Mhm.
Jake Elliott had 5 yards. So that was a good game when we actually used our running backs because that was the most that I've seen Miles have. And then we kind of fell off from running the ball after that game. It seemed like.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Um, I love the Bradbury interception that we had. Covey was our return guy that game. He had
Mhm.
3 for 69, and he had one punt return for 2 yards. What a shot! Aaron Sipoff, 3 punts for 140, 134 yards, and dropped one inside the 20. So good stats for him as well. Um, I know we alluded to some of these earlier, but the Eagles controlled pretty much everything.
Mhm.
401 total yards to 219 for Jacksonville, 191 passing yards to 148 for Jacksonville, 210 rushing yards to 71. And you don't remember it, but I'll tell you when Trey Sermon had his 2 carries. It was the drive that Gainwell scored the touchdown. He got in for 2 plays and had 2 good runs. He got us a first down. Then he never heard from him again. And then 5.2 yards per play to 4.8, 25 first downs to 13. Um, we ran 77 plays to their 46. We allowed 2 sacks. They allowed 4. We both had 3 punts. We had 3 penalties for 20 yards. They had 4 for 38. We talked about fumbles. We didn't lose any fumbles they had. We both had an interception. And we dominated time of possession 39-51 to 20 minutes and 9 seconds. So a solid game statistical wise for Philadelphia. But if you watch that first quarter, you were sweating bullets as an Eagles fan because we did not get anything going in that first quarter. The interception was kind of like, why would you even make that play?
Mhm.
But we did make the play. So it was good to get a win out of that, to be honest, because of everything that was happening. It was good to get a win and just be able to say, hey, this game's over. We've done what we need to do. We're good to go.
Yeah.
And we're moving on.
The fact that we held them at 14 because they scored the first we scored the first on an interception, and then they scored, and then they scored again, and they held 14 from 4 minutes and 32 seconds all the way to the end of the fourth quarter. So we were able to, well, not end of the fourth quarter, they ended up scoring again with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go in the third. So I mean, the defense held them down for a pretty long time.
Agreed. So I think for me, I'll just quickly say, tough game. It was one of those early games where a lot of people saying, "Oh, every week the Eagles can lose this game. The Eagles should lose. Jacksonville's the team that's going to beat them. Doug Peterson's going to come back and beat them. Blah this, blah that." It was a hard victory. It wasn't easy, but you don't have a season where every game's easy. A lot of times you're playing against teams. They're ready for their focus. They know you're coming in 3-0, trying to be the team to put that one beside you. They weren't the one that did it, but they dang on sure tried their best to do so, and they did progress as the season went on. A lot of people kind of besmirked, I'm gonna say, the win when we got it, but as they went throughout the season, they realized, oh man, this Jacksonville team is pretty good, and the Eagles beating them like they did was more impressive than it looked like at the time. Um, Going into the season, the Eagles had one of the hardest schedules. This past season, going into the season was one of the easiest schedules. So we're gonna see if that continues. right?
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are watching, you may not have realized, but we didn't do the intro today. You know why we didn't do the intro today? We didn't need the intro today because we had some meat to get into, some breaking news, different thoughts to talk about. So we went a different way. We do that from time to time. But don't worry, never fear. You're gonna get the outro. We're gonna make sure you get a little bit of that fire that we be bringing. Now, I want to quickly remind everybody: subscribe, like, and share here on the Eagles Elite channel. Also, Shady Sports Network. You can hit them up on YouTube. Just type in Shady Sports Network. They'll pop up. It's a partner. The thing with Shady Sports Network is they're of all football. They cover all facets of football. So we're talking indoor football league teams. We're talking about the European Football League that they have going on, where they're actually playing American football overseas, um, XFL, all of those different things. So they're covering all things football. Great fit for Eagles Elite, which is all football. Um, Shout out Sam Shady. He was on watching earlier with us. Shout out everybody's watched. Everybody's been in the comments, even our resident troll, the Patriots delusional fan, Rod. Um, Make sure you share this, guys. Appreciate everybody that sees it, everybody that watches. Also, make sure you check me out Friday nights, playcallersportstalk.com/live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eagles Diva, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Facebook or Twitter at Sierra Cobb, and Twitter is Sierra Cobb M1.
And a couple other cheap plugs, as I like to call them. Make sure you're with us every week. We're here most weeks. Time to time, we're not. But even if we're not, just catch one of these wonderful shows that we've already done. Rewatch it. It'll be juicy for you. You'll love it. And again, everybody, make sure you're back with us next week. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for supporting the show, because without y'all,
we wouldn't be here.
We're just sitting here talking about ourselves and it gets boring.
Yep.
And with that being said, we're going to be out. We're going to end it like we always do. Hashtag be elite. Hashtag fly Eagles fly. Let's get it.
Let's get it.